Alright, so welcome and welcome back. This is IT Skills Academy, and this episode 2 of how to create a simple invoice using Tailwind CSS and JavaScript. In our episode 1, we created the simple table that you can see on your screen right now. If this is your first time to watch this video, I would highly recommend that you watch this first episode. I'll provide a link in the description of this video. I'll also take this opportunity to thank you guys who have subscribed to IT Skills Academy, especially for those new guys who have recently subscribed to IT Skills Academy. Alright, so in this video we'll be doing three main things. One is we'll be writing the JavaScript that will help us to add some laws in this table, so that when a person clicks on add law, a law is added here. The JavaScript code will also help us to remove a specific law if we don't need it, if we want to discard it. And finally, and very most importantly, number 3 is that we'll be making it possible to auto-calculate the price of the products or the items that we're going to add here. So we'll be calculating the total of the specific item, the subtotal, the tax, and the grad total. So as you can see, we do have a lot to do, so let's just get started. So I'm just going to switch to Visual Studio Code. So this is where we have the code that is making us possible to see this table here. And so first thing first, we're going to lay out what we'll be doing here. So first of all, I'll just come and say script, and inside this script we'll first of all have some few comments. This will just guide us in what we'll be doing. So the first thing that we'll do, or the topmost thing that will be appearing here, is the auto calculation. So auto calculation. So that's why we'll have the script that will help us to do the auto calculation. Then we'll have the remove law, and lastly we're going to have the and law. So this is basically what we'll be doing in this specific video, and we'll start with adding the law, then we'll do the remove, and then the auto calculation in that order. So here I can just come and have it with a type, with a type of text JavaScript. Now all these will not work if we don't include a very important file that I've included in my JavaScript folder. So I'll be sharing the source code of this project so you can be able to get it and also make it yours. So I'll again come and say script, and of course this will have the type of text JavaScript, and here the source is my JavaScript folder. So basically I'm just writing the path where the file is. So I'll step back one step, and then the folder name is JS. We have it here, and the file name is what we have down here, the JS Autocalc So that's a very important file in our project here. If we don't include it, the JavaScript that we're writing here will not work. Okay, so let's now head on to the function to remove the row. First of all, before I go to the function that will help us to add the row, I'll have all of this, the auto calculation, the remove row, and the add row wrapped within a function. So I'm just going to come and say $, into brackets, function, and then I'm going to have this in so I'm going to have the parentheses there, and then of course here we're going to have the curly brackets, now within which we're going to have all of these stuff here. So I'm going to come and highlight all of these, cut them, and we should have all of these inside here. So basically all this stuff should be wrapped within this function here. So having done that, therefore now we can go on to add the laws. So write the function that will help us to add a law, and we'll first of all target the specific button that we created and that will be clicked to add the row. Remember, the button has a class of a row, and so you're just going to come and say $, brackets, button that has a class of row and dot on click on function function will have no name, but it will have a parameter of e, and this e now just means you just come and have it down here, e dot prevent default. So basically what the prevent default do is it's simply or basically a method that cancels an event if it is cancelable, meaning that the default action that belongs to that specific event will not occur. So I'll proceed on to the next thing down here, and the next thing that I'll now do is to get the table in question, the table that I want to add some rows on. So I'll just come and say val table is equals to this dot parents table, and we'll also get the rows in question, like how will we be able to add the rows. Remember, the rows has a class of line items, and that's how we're able to get the rows and add them or embed them in this table. So again, I'll just come and say val, and remember they will be added on top, so we just come and say top is equals to table dot find, and here we'll say tl that has a class of line items. Yeah, and that is the first row here, so we say first. So the row should be crowned on the top. So for that we come and say val new, and we set that to be equal to top.crown, that is true. Yeah, and now to also be able to do the calculations or do the auto calculations on the new or newly added rows, we need to add these lines of code. So we say $new dot j autocalc. This should be capital C. Yeah, it just happens that in JavaScript the first letter is small letters, and then the first letters of every word start with a capital, like the auto and the calc starts with capital. So it should be like that. That's how it is. That's the rule. So here we just come and say destroy, and we're also going to have yet another line of code, $new dot insert before, and this will have the parameters top. Lastly we will have new dot find. So this will help us to get the input of a specific field or input field. So we'll say in quotes input, and here we report the type to be, or the input that has a type of text. Dot val so basically like that. And the last thing that you'll do is to have the Autocalc setup. Yeah, and it will have nothing in the brackets there. So basically this is the code of JavaScript that will help us to add a row in our table. So let's just head on to the browser and see if this is working. Okay, so the button seems not to work for some reason. I don't know why it's not. Let's try to see how we can fix that. Okay, we have a typo here. This should be autocalc and not just out without the O, and we should also have this crossed at the end here. So those are just but some minor are very important to include there. In case you don't include them, then it will cost you, like your code will not work. So let's try to refresh that and see if it works. So now after refreshing, you can just come and click on add row, and as you can see, the row is added successfully there. So that's all that we need to do. Now the next thing is removing that specific row. So we need now to work on this button so that when a person clicks on remove, the specific item is removed. So we're just going to come on top here. So that is a remove row, and I will write the function to help us to remove that law. So again, we'll say we'll target the specific button. So we'll say $, button that has a class of law remove. This one should be button. Dot on click. Okay, and now within these curly brackets, we are now going to write the lines of code that will help us to remove that. So like the arguments of our function here. So the first thing you will see is the prevent default. So I'll say e dot prevent default and with removing the rows, or removing the rows, we need to target the form, unlike the adding where we were targeting the table. So here we're going to say val form is equals to this dot parents, and here we'll have the form. I will also come and say $sign this dot parents, and here we are targeting the law, so we say tl dot remove. And here we'll just come and say out. So lastly, we are going to have the Autocalc setup. So lastly, we are going to have the Autocalc setup. So Autocalc setup. And it is as simple as that. So that script itself will help us to remove the law, and we also need to ensure that the button remove has a class of remove law. So there's a typo here. This should be removed. So we need to have the remove button having this class. Yeah, so as you can see, we don't have it here, so we need to come and include it here as well. So we say remove or in fact we should have it as row remove. Yeah, so we can now try to see if that works. So we head on to the browser here. And so if we come and add a law, we see that the law is ended. If you want to remove the law, you just click on the minus and the law is removed. And that's it with the removing of laws and adding of laws. Now the next thing will be very important stuff here, the auto calculation. So we want to be able to add the quantity, the price, and all of this is auto calculated automatically. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to have some default values here that will first of all work with to see if our script will work. So I'll head on to the Visual Studio here, and I want to add some dummy values here. So I'll go to what the quantity here, and I'll just come and have it with a value. So is equals to, maybe we can put 100. Sorry, this should be within the input. It should be somewhere here. And also the price. So this is the one for the price. So we're also going to have a dummy value here, and say value is equals to, maybe we can talk of it being 1000. Okay, so we have those dummy values there that we need just to get started with our auto calculation. It's not necessary, but just need to have it there just to get us started. So now we can go on top here on our JavaScript and write the function that will help us to do the auto calculation. So we're just going to have that down here. So I'll just come and say function, and it will have a name of Autocalc Setup. And it will not have any parameters, so we remove the params, and now we write the arguments inside here. So the first one will be $sign form. Remember, our form has a class of, or has an ID of cat. So this is how we are getting to the form. So we say form that has an ID of cat. So outside that we say dot j autocalc so we just come and say destroy. So that line of code itself will help us to do the auto calculation. Now we need to be able to get the values that are inputted in a specific input field in our table, and also if there are any decimal places and all that. So to be able to do that, we'll have to target the form and the laws that will have the input fields. So we're just going to come and say form cult, and it is the laws that has the class of line items. So this should be line underscore items dot j Autocalc. And so here we need to get some events. How are we going to get the values? So it will be the what we call key events fire. So it's like we usually have the key up and what else? The key up. Yeah, there are several of them used in JavaScript just to get the value that is inputted in a certain field. Like, should you get it when you press or when you release the button after pressing and all that. So those key events is what we want to have here. So we are going to come and say color brackets and key events fire. So that should be true. And we'll also come and have the decimal places. So decimal places for our case, we're just going to work with at least 2 decimal places. You can have any number of decimal places, and we should also come and say empty as 0 empty as 0 is equals to true. Alright, now we'll also get the decimal places one more time that is. So dollar sign should be single quotes, and then form cult dot j auto calc. So here we'll say decimal places. Sure. So we should not forget to cross that with the semicolon, and then finally we're going to have the Autocalc setup. Setup. Okay, so again, this is the script that will help us to do the auto calculation. So we have it here. So let us now see what else we need to do, and to be able to get the values being auto calculated, we need to get them in our input fields. And so I need to get to my table here, and on the quantity and the price we have the values. Okay, okay, this one should be 1000. I thought we had included. Okay, that one should be 100. Now I want to have a specific line of code here that will help me to get the total price. Now to be able to get the total price, we need to come to the column where we expect to get the total for our product purchased, and here I need to come and say J. So this is within the input field, so I should have it within here. So I should come and say j autocalc is equals to some single quotes here, and then curly brackets, qty, that is the quantity, multiplied by price. Yeah, so just like that. And we also now need to go to the subtotal and do almost the same. So where we expect to get the subtotal, so that should be somewhere here in this input here. So I also need to come and have the subtotal here. So just come and say j autocalc is equals to so here we need to get the sum of the item underscore total. And just before we forget, we should also have this input field with a class of subtotal. And this also happens with the price and the quantity. Okay, we have it with the class of price, that is correct. That's good. And also here should be having the class of quantity. Now we'll also do the same for the tax. So we head on to the tax. We'll expect to get the tax in this field here. So again, j autocalc is equals to the subtotal multiplied by the tax. So subtotal multiplied by just that. And finally now we need to get the gradto, so that again should be somewhere here. So we should just come and say j autocalc is equals to sub underscore total plus tax underscore total. So this one should be Autocalc. And this is what we have on our browser. Now you can see the total is calculated here. So we have the quantity as 100, the price is 1000, so the total is 100,000. The subtotal is also calculated there automatically, the tax is now 4,000 because it is 0.4. It is actually 4 times 1,000. So if we exempt the tax here, like come and see tax free, so the tax is removed, and so this now will be just 100,000 as it is here. But you also notice that now when we include the tax is now added here, and we can even add yet another row here, and we can have some stuff here. So maybe we add another 2,000 here. You can see that is being calculated automatically. The tax is also increased, as you can see here, and the same is also added to the total. If I remove this row just like that, you see now it goes with all its values, and so I'm just left with what I have on top here. Yeah, so that's how you can be able to create a simple invoice in a Tailwind CSS and JavaScript. I hope this was helpful. I'll be providing a link in the description of the 2 episodes from where you can be able to download this source code for free, so that you can also be able to customize it and modify it the way you want. So that's it for this video. See you in the next one, and as usual, stay safe.